Hey guys, it's Drake from Spiffy Empire, and today I'm going to be doing a quick programming and building tutorial for robots. We're going to start off with building right away, and first off, to make a part to attach to your robot, as you can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 parts on this robot currently, and say we want to add one more. I know I could have used multiples, but whatever. You can hold down left control and this little red cursor will show up, and then you can click on the ground while holding left control and this green menu will come up, and these are all the different parts that are currently available for you to use on your robot. So I'm going to use the jet, and it's going to drop it in. You can just click on it and it'll drop it in. And now say we want to connect this to our robot. You can hold down the number 1 on the top row of numbers, not on the numpad. Hold down the number 1 and then left click on the piece. Now as you can see, the green selection tells you where the thing is going to connect to your robot. Now obviously I don't want to be going upwards with this robot. I'm going to want to go forwards, so I'm going to move this by, as I'm holding 1, I'm going to right click until it's on the top there like I want it, and I am going to left click where I want the piece to go, and it's going to give me a little preview, and then I'm going to left click again, and bam, it is now on my robot. And we can drag it down and it's connected. Now say I want to disconnect a piece. I can hold the number 0 on the top row and the red selection cursor will come up, and bam, once you click it, it will disconnect and it will fall off your robot. Now, say I want to completely delete this piece from the workspace. I can hold down the backspace button or the delete button, depending on what keyboard you're using, and click on the piece, and bam, it's gone. Now I do want to use a jet, so I'm going to spawn in another one by holding down control, clicking, and then clicking on the jet. I'm going to hold down 1, left click, right click, and then left click where I want it, and left click again. Now we have the jet back on it. Now we're going to start the programming phase of this, and we're going to quickly explain how to get this jet working. So to start off, all programming is done inside the console area, and that's entered by pressing escape on your keyboard. Now once you've pressed escape, you can click on an object such as the jet, and its little green tile will show up, and this is on a hexagonal grid so you can organize things properly. So I'm just going to move it over here, and all objects, well mostly every object, has its own attributes or inputs or outputs. So for example, this one, if I hold down control, left control, and click on the tile and continue holding control, all of these will come up: color B, highlight, glow, thrust, disconnect, color A, and part. The ones that are highlighted in blue are inputs, so I can set all of these values, and the ones that are highlighted in red are outputs. Now the only reason this jet has an output is because this is a reference, which I will probably explain later on. But for now, all we need is thrust. So we're going to click on thrust, left click on thrust, and we can let go of control now. I'm going to move the thing down here because I'm a little bit of a neat freak. And I am going to create a new object, or a new, I don't know the exact name, they're modifiers or something like that. So hold down control and click on an empty tile, and all of these things show up. There's tons of them. Now we're not going to use all of these, but for today we're going to use the input sampler. So I'm going to click on the input sampler, and I'm going to hold down control and click on the input sampler again, and we got all of these things: positive, negative, attack, release, and sample. For now we're only going to be using positive and sample. Now positive detects key presses, and once that key is pressed it will add to the sample number. Negative is the opposite, it will remove from the sample number, and once you've held it for a sufficient amount of time and it either reaches 1 or -1, it will stop until you release the key and it will go back down to 0. For example, I'm going to set positive to Q by clicking on positive and typing in the letter Q and enter, and now if I hold down Q, it goes all the way up to 1. Don't worry about that console down there, it's just a little bit in the way now. They should probably fix that. So, for now, I guess we could just connect sample directly to thrust. So, once I hold down Q, it will change the number for sample and therefore change the amount of thrust, and we will try and go somewhere. So let's try and do that. What you have to do is hold down Control, and you can drag the sample tile directly to the thrust tile, and now I'm not sure if you can see it, but there's a tiny little white line that connects the two values. So whenever this value changes, this value changes. So now if I exit by pressing escape again and I hold down Q, you can kind of hear a little bit of thrust. But as you can see, if I hold down Q, the thrust goes up to 1. But there's a problem with this. Thrust up to 1 is not really practical because it doesn't put you anywhere. So I'm going to change that with a math function. I'm going to get rid of this connection that these two have by holding down the number 0 and clicking. I believe. No, that's not right. You hold down the backspace key and click. No, that's not right either. Is it? I was sure that was it. Oh, right. I'm sorry. You can hold down Control Shift and then click. Control Shift and then click, and it will get rid of that little link. This one's still set to 0, but that's because the original value it set it to is 0, and it will stay like that until we change it again. So yeah, it's Control Shift and then click on a connection or something that's connected to a connection, and it will remove all the connections to that tile. Okay, moving on. Now we can add a math function to multiply this number so that we get more thrust. Hold down Control and then click on an empty tile, and we're going to select math function. And in math function, hold down Control and click. We're going to need all of these. Type designates what type of math function it is. There's a whole bunch of them, as you can see down here. We're going to need in A, which is the first number that it's going to use in the function, and in B, the second number it's going to use in the function, and out, the output. So as you can tell, we're probably going to connect the output to the thrust. So to do this, hold down Control, drag it over to the thrust, and now they're connected by that little tiny invisible white line. You can arrange stuff here, because I'm kind of a neat freak, like I said. And say I want to multiply the number I get from the sample here by, say, 500, because the thruster works okay around that. Whoa, sorry if that scared you guys. What happened right there is it was adding 500 to 0 and then outputting that number because I haven't changed this to multiply yet. So click on type, just regularly click on type, and change type to MULT, which is multiply, and then I'm going to set this back to 500. Now it's 0 times 500, which is 0. Now I'm going to take this sample value right here, hold down Control, drag it over to in A. Now whatever the sample value gets is going to be multiplied by 500, it's going to be outputted to the thrust, and it's going to power the rocket. So I believe we have it set to Q now, and if I hold down Q, there we go. We now have a working rocket. It's kind of unbalanced because I didn't do this for the rocket, I did this for the programming. So you can play around with it, you can add more jets and stuff. I'm just going to do a quick little example of how you can add more than one object to the same programming window. So I'm just going to spawn another jet in here, and I'm going to sillily attach it to the side here. And I'm going to open up the thing for this jet, and I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to click on this jet. And as you can see, this jet pops up here, and we can open up the thrust and connect it like that. And now if we press Q, both of these jets will go. Which is not very practical, but you get the idea. So I believe that's it for this programming tutorial. I really hope you enjoyed, and I have more specific tutorials coming up soon, so check out those. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.